no practical about it. You can tell us when you do this and this and this, you'll be able to do this, and then the application, usually at the end of each course, and it was usually like a half a page. You apply this, you apply this. But now I used to question, like, we're going to a lecture room. You're supposed to get that knowledge. But yet you're supposed to, the school was supposed to have a system where whatever you're learning in the economics, we can be able to go to maybe to a bank or a financial institution and apply this theory that you have just learned. We can see how it is used. So that's when I say 55%, my sociology has helped me a lot. Economics a little bit because you can be able to analyze models. I can be able to do some research based on the knowledge that I got. And most of my lectures did well. Yeah.
How would you have wanted to see the education system changed in order to prepare young people better for the job market? Hands-on
skills. Reduce on the theory and focus more on the technical skills or the hands-on skills. Because I usually ask myself, back in university I was an entrepreneur, but now I'm back home, I'm not able to see the opportunities because there's some opportunities, but I only learned the theory. So going at it at a practical approach, it is a bit difficult. So now that's why you need to be exposed in a job environment where you can get to see how things work, how things relate, create meaningful connection, network. But now without access to those opportunities, it's somehow you become more of dormant, or I can describe it as that way. Yeah.
Ram, the government keeps talking about the economy growing and how many jobs have been created. And as you look at the numbers, the private sector usually creates more. Actually, the informal sector creates more jobs than the public sector. But then the same economy that the government says is growing is retrenching. Do you think then the young people are actually inspired to seek these jobs if the people they're seeking the jobs from are retrenching?
I think from a very high level, economy will go through its phases of being on an upswing or a downswing. And so we will have to, we are in a generation and at a time where we will have to embrace both employment and retrenchment probably in the same breath. Our fathers worked in their jobs for the last 25, 30 years of their life, and they probably stuck to one job all their life. So that I don't think is a reality anymore, right? So secondly, and again, this again comes back to the perception that we are building amongst our youths as they are going through universities. As Nell pointed out, as he said that yes, he has done economics and sociology, but then how does that translate into very specific job skills so that he can go and pitch to the employer saying that I have done this, but then these are the 10 things I know I can use to better your bottom line, for example. Now, that is the bridge that we are looking at. Secondly, also, I think the perception that I will land up in a white-collar job just because I have a university degree is also not true. Because we all need to start at the lowest level, whatever degree we might have. And so, again, we need to be very clear. We need to build it in our youths that, hey, you have to be standing long hours waiting on a table before you make it to becoming the cashier or before you make it to becoming the supervisor, where your number of hours are lower, right? Yes. So that's what we try and do. We want to clearly create perceptions which is very, very realistic. So if I'm training somebody to be tending in a restaurant, we actually run a program where they are actually standing in class for 8 hours, because that is exactly what they will be doing at the workplace, right? So the earlier you build what is required in the marketplace, the easier it is for our youth also to embrace what is out there, and also for our employers to see that, hey, he already comes with 20 days of actually standing and getting trained. So hence, he's not going to complain and take sick leave 2 days after joining the job.
Now, one thing that the young people are always told is that if you can't find a job, go and become an entrepreneur. But then the Cabinet Secretary of Youth, Margaret Kobia, does not think that actually everyone can be an entrepreneur. And just these are some of her thoughts.
It is true that the numbers of those youths who are benefiting from affirmative action from government, just as one intervention to provide jobs for the youth. But Amina is not as simple as that. There is that category that can go into business and you can give them loans, but there's a whole huge category that also might not be wired for business. So as a government, actually what we do is like sit and look at the entire spectrum of what is the youth struggling with. Why can't the youth find jobs? And that's why you find the technical vocational education is one intervention. You find others who are going to other different type of skill training so that they can be able to get a job. But let me also say, out of 100% of the youth, we have about 20% who are very clear what they want, and we don't have to struggle with them. The normal curve still plays itself. You find 60 who require a lot of leadership to move forward. And another 20% that there's nothing that can happen to them because they are completely on us.
Professor Margaret Kobia there, speaking from an old edition of the National Leadership Forum, which was just recently held at the Nairobi University. Now, Naftal, what are your thoughts on Waziri's comments?
She's right.
She's right.
Not everyone can incorporate the skills they learned in school. They want them to be entrepreneurial skills. Some are just wired to be working under people. So you cannot just feed them to or force them to do business while they are not business minded. And then there's another lot which has that perspective of I have to be employed, like I have to be working in an office. Yeah, she's right. And as a government, they have to consider every category. Yeah.
How about you, Nel? What do you think of Waziri's comments?
I think she's right. When you expect youths to employ ourselves, not everyone can be entrepreneur. At the same time, there are those that can be entrepreneurial. There are those that can be innovators. It's just finding the right niche on how to relate to the different groups. Yeah.
Which side do you think you fall yourself?
I think I'll be in between. Because I know what I want, but now I need to get into the informal sector to see how things are done before coming back to what I want. Yeah.
Okay. And yourself, Naftali, which side do you think you fall?
Life has taught me to be an entrepreneur.
Life has forced you to be an entrepreneur.
Yes, and,
okay.
And I'm liking it.
You're liking it?
Yeah.
So if you were to be offered a job in the formal sector, you'd say no?
Absolutely, I could. I want to develop my career. There is no problem with that, yeah.
Ram, technology. What is the role of technology in this whole youth and unemployment conversation?
Before that, can I just add to
Yes.
Waziri's comments
Yes.
and to my friends here? Yeah, I think I fully agree because in terms of that, not everybody is made to be an entrepreneur or born to be an entrepreneur. It's a very loosely held term, I feel, because we automatically assume that everybody can be an entrepreneur, and as my young friends here very rightly said, that's not the case. Because also to be an entrepreneur, you need to have certain skills. You need to know what I need to do if I need to raise money. You need to know what I need to do if I need to procure the land records for the factory I am willing to put up, right? So where do you get those skills from? One, you get those skills, a lot of those skills actually come from being employed and then saying, okay, now I have a fair sense of knowing what I want to be and knowing the fact that I can now be on my own. Because then when you're talking to potential funders, when you're talking to potential customers, they already know that you come with the relevant experience for you to run your own business. And hence, I really empathize with a lot of our youth who are forced into entrepreneurship because they don't have jobs.
Yes.
Right? And that should never be the case. So I fully agree with Waziri's comments that we have to provide for jobs for our youth. And there are, and for example, the vulnerable youth that we work with, the 16,000 graduates that we have, the 16,000 youth that we have graduated, they came to us with the clear knowledge that they want a job. And more or less, a lot of time they are vulnerable. They need to provide for families. They need to start earning from day one. So because they have multiple mouths to feed, you can't expect them to go and start a business.
But picking your mind on just the same thought there, government saying we need to create these jobs for the young people. But look at the structure of employment within government itself. How many of those jobs are actually held by young people? Very few.
Yeah.
Most of the government employees are close to retirement age, or their contracts have been extended and extended and extended. Government itself right now, it's now hiring on contract.
Yeah.
So do you think really government should be talking about creating job opportunities for the youth when itself it isn't creating job opportunities for the youth?
Yeah, so I think there are multiple drivers to this. The reasons for an entity or an employer not wanting to recruit employees could be manifold. It could be a question of the economy. It could be a question of how well they are doing as an organization. So there are multiple reasons, and hence that possibly determines how they want to engage with their employees, or do they want to engage with others as contractors. So that's one one aspect. But you're right. For example, specific to the Kenya economy, as we said, the informal sector is much larger than the formal sector. One of the programs that we operate is the sewing machine operators program, where we actually directly feed into one of the big four agenda of creating jobs in the apparel industry, where we train our graduates, and by graduates I mean high school and many times primary school graduates, so that they can still be trained and they get a job where they can provide for their family. So
Nathalie has something to say.
Yeah, contrary to his view about the employment for you to get the entrepreneurial skills, I
disagree with him.
Yeah, I disagree. Because, you know, these things are better said than done. Yes, the government will have a strategy, they will plan. But on the ground, you have bills to foot. You will not wait for the vision of the government to be done or to be implemented. Then, if you really want to do some business, how you interact with the business itself will force you to learn how to interact with the business customers. So you don't really have to go into a certain firm to learn how business is run. And then
you've lost your train of thought there. Okay, we'll come back to you. Hopefully you'll have found your train of thought. But right now we need to go to the county of Murang'a, where our reporter Martin Maura is on standby with some young people there to chip in on this comment. Maura, what are the young people there saying about unemployment?
Thank you so much, Zainab. Yes, as you have rightly said, I'm on the streets of 021, County 021 here in Murang'a, and I just want to engage the youth of Murang'a County just to tell me maybe what do they think is the cause of unemployment. Every year you see thousands of youths being churned from the universities with various degrees, but a majority of them end up tarmacking on these roads for so long before they get what they are supposed to do and what maybe they had undertaken at various colleges and other learning institutions. Just to talk to a few gentlemen here, welcome to NTV, young man. And I want you to tell me, why do you think nowadays the universities are not chucking thousands of students, but many are not getting employed?
Yes, my name is Jackson Mweti. I do study at Murang'a, and on the employment issues, many people, like the students, have finished their courses, but when you come on searching the jobs, it is very hard for someone to get a job. You can apply, then the application of you is it stays for a long time without being answered, or even when you finish your course, you find that there are schools, you finish a course, then you find it is not so much marketable. Then on the other side is that you can see employment is lending the youth. They are not getting any the funds. Some may be not getting the transport to get to the places where they are intended to get a job. So you find that the government is supposed to provide finances and provide something so that the youth nowadays can get employment and get a better future. Because the youth are the ones who are tomorrow's generation. So if the youth are not, they don't get some job, then Kenya will be at a very bad place. So we as graduates, we urge the government of Kenya to find solutions for unemployment so that we can have a better tomorrow in Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me talk to another gentleman over here. Welcome to NTV. I want you to give me your views. Why do you think, even after the universities are checking out students, graduates, why are people not getting employment? Is it that we are our form of education, what we are taught, is the problem?
Yes, I will begin with the form of education. My name is Stephen Gidaiga. I will start with the form of education that we are having currently. We get to learn, but there are no jobs. Again, there are so many institutions that are coming up. The quality of our education seems to be quite low. And this institution, many as they are, come up with bogus courses. Most students, most young men invest a lot, their money and their time. Then when I go to the market, these courses, we are told they are not marketable enough. So we have to come up with other ideas to at least cope up with this bad able to do anything with these courses that we have spent a lot time and effort and money. Then we are told there is nothing to do. Again, there is this matter of we are so many. There is so many youths who have gone to the universities, but the chances are so little. Again, when you go to those industries to look for work, they are looking for too much. They tell us to have a lot of experience, and yet that is our first time to get into the industry. Yes.
Do you think also, when it comes to matters to do with employment, do you think we are who you know matters the most than even the qualification?
Yes, we have grown up with the notion that if you want to be employed somewhere, you have to know someone who knows someone who will connect you to at least who is the employer. Yes, and that is a very bad thing. Again, we have also come up with this notion that we must be employed by someone to work, forgetting that we as youths, we can also employ ourselves, create our own jobs and cope with the hard times. Yes.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to a lady who will just represent, gender equality. Karibu NTV. I want you to tell me, why do you think we are churning graduates, and why do you think we have such high rate of unemployment among the students?
Thank you very much. My name is Evelyn. I think the reason why we have a large number of unemployed people is because of our institution. We are taught to learn and do white-collar jobs rather than work to employ ourselves. So the moment I'm out of school and I don't get a white-collar job or I don't get employed, it means me that I don't have a job yet. So if I find myself that I can't even sweep around and get paid for it because I've learned nimesoma to get a job in an office. So I won't do manual jobs. That's where most students are not employed yet.
Do you also think this has to do? We have seen so many factories retrenching people. Do you think corruption has something to do with this? And you think even at the workplace, they are picking people depending on who you know than rather what you have?
Yes, because some institutions want people they know of, people from their tribe. So you go to a certain place and you're told you have to pay a certain amount of money so that they can employ you. If you don't have, you won't get the job. So corruption have played a very big part in people being unemployed. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. Zainab, those are just some of the few views that I've managed to get from the here in Murang'a. Some are saying that the future looks very bleak because of excuse me, because of the unemployment. Others are saying corruption. Others are saying nepotism is what is making so many youths who are graduates who have the right qualification to stay at home or even tarmac for long, simply because they don't know somebody who knows somebody in those offices. Back to you, Zainab.
Thank you very much, Martin Maura, for the thoughts and the people there in Murang'a. And some of those comments are actually disagreeing with what Professor Kobia said. I'd like to just pick out two things from the views of the people in Murang'a. You had one of the comments there saying you have to know someone who knows someone who knows someone in order for you to get a job. Have you experienced something like that?
Yes.
You experienced it?
Yeah. I've seen it actually. It's just a matter who do you know in the industry, who is your family connection. It goes hand in hand. It is it is the state of the country. You cannot do anything about it. Yeah.
You had to go through so many people to even get an opportunity, a foot in the door.
A foot in the door. Okay, for example, from the interviews that I've gotten, about 80 to 90% are through referral. And the 10% were through online application, dropping my CVs, you see. So at the end of the day, it matters who do you know, who are you connected to. And that is the state. There's no denying that. Even you can see in our political scene. It's just, it is, you can, like the way we say when having one bad potato in a sack of potato, now the disease is more widespread. And the only way we can curb that disease is to do away with the sack and plant a new harvest of new potatoes. Yeah.
Naftal, did you know someone who knows someone who knows someone?
No, unfortunately no. But I have a different version that I've experienced, like internal advertisements for a certain job. So there is a vacancy, then internally they advertise, then people get people to apply, those they know. Then just for the reason of formalities, the vacancy is now put out there, but they have just picked the candidates and that's it.
The second thing I'd like to pick out of the comments from Murang'a was the perception young people have towards the informal sector, jobs in the informal sector, jobs that we consider menial. And that is often characterized by even how we interact with people who work in those sectors. For instance, a cleaner, the youth are often accused of looking down on people who do such kind of jobs. Ram, in your experience with working with young people, have you felt any perceptions they have towards the informal sector?
Yes, and this is something that we are trying to deal with actively. I think the first thing also is, on the one hand, we find people talking about these casual jobs in a very demeaning manner. I think what we need to do is, as a society, we need to build this dignity of labor. Today, on the one hand, if you're talking about these demeaning jobs, but on the other hand, we are also equally complaining about a lack of a quality plumber or lack of a quality electrician. So how do we build these things, right? So the first thing is, I think, for example, the TVET system, the vocational technical colleges. We need them to be very proactive in approaching our youth and saying, hey, you know what, we are going to skill you on this because there is a demand in the market. You be the best at what you do, and come what may, you will always be in demand and there will be an opportunity for you. So there's a whole thing around messaging and perception of jobs that we think are demeaning or degrading, and hence we do not want to do it. But today, finally, at the end of the day, a job is a job is an opportunity, and more than the youth, it is the academic institutions who have to build the positive perception about one perceives this job, and that is possible only when you have quality within the system. Because today if I want to be the best plumber in Kenya, I want to go to a university where I know by getting training under this university, I know I can be the best plumber. Right? The fact that I am talking about it openly means that I know I can be good at it, and I know there will be a demand for it. But then is there an institution that will make me the best plumber in the whole of Kenya? I do not know if that's the case now.
Naftal, what is your perception of those jobs that are considered casual and menial? What do you think of them?
It's just a perception. In fact, tunasema pale mtaani, those people who are good at what they do, they are so marketable. I've seen guys who make their way through life by just being a plumber. Passion, drive, they want to be the best. Like, we are doing furniture. We are not just doing ordinary furniture. It's a certain niche we picked. People like fancy stuff. So we saw it's an opportunity. Like, we are not making ordinary TV stands, coffee tables. It comes with a design, like it's captivating to look at. So someone will want to prefer that design over the ordinary ones. So you want to be the best. You want to do it with what you give it your all. Yeah.
Have you had instances where someone has looked down upon you because of what you do?
No.
You've never,
In
have you
fact,
looked down on
I have
anyone
had
yourself?
people who even offering pro bono advertisements. Someone is offering to give a website, to design a website for that matter. People like encouraging, especially when they see you are a young man trying to find their way out. Then if they know your background, then like, this is good. This is what should be done. So nobody looks down upon. Yeah,
yourself, you've never looked down on anyone?
Myself? No. No.
Now, Ram, there's this other conversation about jobs that is beginning to gather momentum, the quality of jobs. You've got the job, yes, but would you really say it's a quality job? For instance, if you have to do a job that requires you to work so many long hours with very few breaks or barely any breaks, to the point that you are forced to have to wear a diaper in order to get the job done, would you say that's a quality job?
No, I don't think so. Personally, if you ask me, yes, there are jobs that necessitate longer hours. If you're working in a job which demands shifts, then clearly that's a choice. That's a choice that comes with the job. Now, that could still be of quality if, for example, I have the right breaks. Now, for example, you see our security guards, they put in a long hours, right? But then again, you are giving them the spread where you're saying, okay, we will give you the desired breaks that it needs, but then it's a requirement for 12 hours. So again, taking a step back on that is also for our youth to look at to be very open about doing jobs and not necessarily go with a perceived notion that this job is good or this job is bad, right? That's because one really does not know what's happening inside. So when we train our youth, we say, this job you have to be standing for so long, but we will ensure that you are provided with an opportunity where an employer treats you decently, where you are getting the desired breaks, where you are having the desired conversations, where you can be proactive about what quality means for you. So it's a two-way conversation. And so coming back to the white-collar job requirement from a university, it's not going to be the case. All of us, when we started our jobs, there is a very high degree of doing a brown collar job, and by brown collar doesn't mean that's demeaning or that's not interesting. It's just that that's the way it is. You will have to put the long hours, you will have to put in the effort, so that then you are seen as somebody who is there for the long haul.
How do you define a quality job? How would you define it?
I think for me, quality is various things. In terms of, do I have the space to voice my opinion? Right? Do I have the ability, can I make mistakes? Is that affording me to make mistakes and then hence willing to teach me? Is my supervisor willing to engage with me? Is my supervisor invested and interested in my career progression? Is my supervisor giving me the flexibility to take up additional roles within the job? So some of these things are not prevalent out there. So it's about it's a combination of all these things, right? And then that decides. For example, today I would definitely stay in a job where I can make mistakes and I can improve upon my mistakes. I can engage with my peers. I can talk to my supervisors in a non-threatening environment. Right?
Yes.
So those are some of the aspects.
One of the employers have often been, you remember these two gentlemen started by saying he was offered 10,000, he was offered 4,000.
Yeah.
And one of the challenges that the youth say they face whenever they're seeking employment is that the employment world, the employers seem to be stuck in the past. They still want to do things the way they were done in the past, pay the same amount, the same salaries they paid in the past, failing to take into account that times are changing, the needs are changing, the requirements are changing, and therefore they should change the same way. So as you work with the young people that you work with and the employers that you're connecting them to, are these some of the things you're discussing with them?
Absolutely. For example, today we seek employers who provide decent wage, decent work conditions. Right? And that's a prerequisite. We do not want to train our youth and then leave them in the lurch. We actively engage with our employers. We actively engage with our youth after they have gone through the training. We try and understand what's happening. Are they still employed? Are they being taken care of? In fact, we have actually rejected a few employers because we realized that they were not offering the work conditions that they promised they would. So that's very, very important for us because we do not want, we are not just a training organization. We train, but we also ensure that our youths are employed in quality jobs.
Yes. Now, still on that topic of quality jobs, I'd just like to play a soundbite here of the former Oxfam Executive Director, Winnie Byanyima, on what she thinks a quality job is.
Poultry workers. These are women who are cutting the chickens and packing them, and we buy them in the supermarkets. Dolores, one woman we work with there, told us that she and her co-workers have to wear diapers to work because they are not allowed toilet breaks. This is in the richest country in the world. That's the job. Those are the jobs we are being told about, that globalization is bringing jobs. The quality of the jobs matter. It matters. These are not jobs of...
The quality of the job matters. Nell,
Yeah.
what does a quality job mean to you?
A quality job. Good working hours. The opportunity to grow, decent wages, being treated as a human, mutual respect, the room to make mistakes and develop on those mistakes. That's what I'll consider as a quality job.
When you say good working hours, what do you mean? Hours do you have in mind?
For example, in Kenya, we have 8 hours. Like you can work from 8 to 5 p.m. But now, if you expect me to work from 8 to maybe 7, and I have to wake up at as 5 to come to the job, that's not quality. Yeah.
How about you, Nathan? What does a quality job mean to you?
That's relative.
That's the gist of it.
No. Like, it depends on who wants to look at it, the kind of job you are doing. Like, from my end, a good quality job is one that allows me to make mistakes and maybe have a lot of time to hang around, and I can run other stuff, errands, then come back, work. You see, someone will view as that is being freedom. There is some sort of freedom. Another one will look at it like a good quality job is one gives you a lot of money. Decent job, like you can afford the luxuries, live in a very good apartment near Mountain View or Westlands. So it all depends on who is in that. Who is
the job seeker?
Yeah.
If you were to stick to your industry specifically, like in the furniture business,
Okay.
what does a good quality job mean within the furniture business?
My clients being very happy.
Your clients being happy?
Making friends and having a network of friends. They appreciate your job, encouraging you. It gives you some kind of to work more and maybe go out there and aim higher. Yeah.
Ram, the role of technology in this whole youth unemployment agenda, where do you think it fits in?
I think it's definitely it's definitely in the mind of every youth, right? We see so many things around us, starting with WhatsApps and mobile phones, right, at the very bottom, to working on computers, laptops, and of course the jobs that we hear increasingly in the world are taken over by technology. So that's something that we know, we understand, and we also think that that's what our youths are also looking at. And also, it's not only at the job level, it is also how you engage with our youth. So one of the things that we are thinking of from a technology point of view is, today if we are training them inside a classroom, can we use technology where they can be trained inside the classroom and they can also be trained through technology aids, right? Can we do something like blended learning? So that's one thing that we are thinking. The second thing that we are thinking is, then can we ensure that there is enough internet inside the classroom so that they can use smartphones for some of the lectures, instead of really hearing out from the instructor what is happening. So as much as there is a demand and a push towards technology, at the very basic level, at least for our youth and the youths we train, we need to ensure that there is enough internet in the communities that we train, right? So clearly there is a thrust towards that. The second thrust also is that if you look at a lot of jobs versus technology jobs, technological jobs require a higher degree and a higher level of qualification. So hence, again, we need to be also very cautious about saying, okay, yes, there are technology jobs, but then again, do we have enough supply side that can actually go into these technology jobs?
Do you think you're technologically prepared for the job market?
Sorry?
Daftar? You are technologically prepared.
Yeah.
You have taken advantage of, how do you incorporate social media in your, for instance, social media in your job now?
In fact, most of our jobs come from social media. Yeah, we have adverts using Twitter. Then we have online shops like Sky Garden and Facebook page. We have our website now. So I can say it's a lot of online work rather than there before, where you used to make some stuff, have some space to display, then passers-by will come, look at it, then decide whether to buy. So here you have online platforms. Someone gives an order, you deliver. So
you're prepared, so you're using social media efficiently.
Yeah.
How about you, Nell? Do you think social media is playing a role as you...
Social media, yes, it plays a good role, because it gets to expose you to the opportunities that are available through technology, through online platforms. But now, you see, the problem with technology is automation.
Is?
Automation.
Automation.
When you have technology, when technology automates some of the jobs that you're supposed to get, it's more of like we are a third world country trying to achieve our first world country by adapting their first world technology. Not all technology is bad, but there is the bad aspect of it.
Yes.
For example, there was this educational institution, I won't mention the name. They were talking about by 2030 Africa will be having the highest labor population.
Yes.
And their solution to it was to get more youths into educational system. But now I went and did some research on Europe and Asia, and they were saying, because they said that most of these jobs will be imported to these countries. When I went ahead and did my research on Europe and Asia, and what I found out was most of the jobs, some of the jobs, or the majority of the jobs that you are having are being automated. For example, in cruise ships, we are having virtual waiters. You don't have to find a person; you just find a machine. You order what you want.
Yes.
So I think technology is good on the marketing aspect of it, but when it comes to on the job creation, we should be selective.
Let me ask you: do you regret studying economics and sociology?
Do I regret it? I'm a bit unsure because when I go to my evening classes, I usually meet a lot of working people.
What are you studying in your evening classes?
CPA.
CPA. Naftal, do you regret studying engineering? No, you don't. Whose idea was it, yourself or your parents?
It's myself.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Now, we've got some thoughts here from President Uhuru Kenyatta on what he thinks the role of education is in this whole youth unemployment conversation.
Look at the amount of pressure that we put on our children. You must pass your exams. You must. Jameni, saa ingine mtoto hata akiwa kwa likizo hapumziki. Tuition, sijui nini. Fanya hii, fanya hii. The child does not even have an opportunity to grow as a child. Are we then surprised when we put all this pressure that we start to see depression on the rise, that we start to see all these abuses also on the rise? Na mtu akimaliza unaambiwa lazima upate degree, lazima utaenda university. Hata kama ni kulipa nitalipa, nihonge nani mtoto wangu aingie university. Akiingia university hata qualifications hana, kazi hana. Jameni, let us work together and arm our children with the skills and nurture the talents that God has given them, as opposed to imposing on them.
Nurture the talents that God has imposed in the children. Don't force them. Those are the key words from President Uhuru Kenyatta. Naftal, do you think, you said you were not forced to pick engineering. You picked it yourself. What are the talents? The President Uhuru Kenyatta talked about talent that God has put in you. What are the talents God put in you?
Hands-on skills.
Hands-on skills.
Yeah, like I don't like having a problem fixing anything that's around me. Anything, just about anything. Yeah.
How about you, Nell? What are the talents God put in you?
I'm very creative. I like solving problems that are around me, that are within the country. And you know, you just need to have that platform to be able to solve some of these issues. Because from high school, I used to love these science congresses. And since I was very creative about it and you could only present a maximum of 2 projects, I used to create projects, then I give to other students to go and present for me.
You didn't want to present yourself?
No, like there was a policy, you could only present a maximum of 2. But now since I had so many ideas, I could give to my friends, you know, go try this out, and they used to do very well. So my talent was just being creative and thinking out of the box, problem solving. Yeah.
Great. Ram, your thoughts on President Uhuru Kenyatta's words?
I think he's hit the nail on the head. What he is actually saying here is that today we all come with our very unique and special talents, but do we have a system around us where we are able to nurture, or do we have a system which is only pushing us into being a doctor, being an engineer, being an accountant? Meaning, I look at you in a lot of respect, because you've done something which is economics and sociology. There is so much to learn and so much knowledge that you have gained, and today you might probably think that's not the right choice. But then again, you need a system that encourages the choices that you are making. And you need a system that does not put pressure on you that you have to be employed and be in a job as soon as you complete something on your own, because it takes time. Some people realize realize what they are good at a younger age. Some people realize that at a much later age. It took me 35 years to realize what I would really like to do, which is where I am today. But until then, I knew, yes, I was doing something that provides bread for my family. But then, was that really what I wanted to do? Probably not. I mean, there are people out there who are mostly late bloomers. So what he's actually saying is, we need a system where, whether it is a formal education system, whether the TVET system, where you need a place to nurture your talents, and then the system provides you with the skills, provides you with the training, and from where you take off.
The young people you work with, have you come across those who were forced into a particular line, like President Uhuru Kenyatta says, you're forced to study something that maybe is not in line with your talents?
Yeah, we come across youth all the time, especially the youth in the communities that we work with, because there's a lot more desperation and the need to be a breadwinner at the very earliest. So we very much come across all these things, and we can't avoid it. They have been pushed into a system. We can only, what we try and do is see if we can, based on what they bring, can we help them to do better?
Yes.
Right? That's what we try.
Now,
to do.
as we come to a conclusion of this show, Naftal, what are your final thoughts? What would you like the young people out there who are watching you to take away from you?
Well, they should not have that mind captivity, like I must have to be employed to make it. Yeah, like the president have remarked there, you can use your talents to make it in life, or maybe keep you paying your bills and run a few projects in life. So you don't really have to be employed. And on the other side, we cannot discourage employment and employment totally. Like there are people who are so passionate about developing their career, and it's very okay for them. You can go ahead, you can be very successful in your career, but for that group that has entrepreneurial skills, you can go out there and venture. You just keep trying. You never know where it will take you. You never know. So you have that drive, you have that passion. You just do it, and do it the best. Give it your all. Yeah. So maybe one day you will be an employer, because if everything goes well, you might be having a clientele, and you can't keep up. You can't keep up the number of maybe orders, or you are in a certain, you will be needing people to help you. So just by default, you will want people to work with you. You will have people who will give you a hand in marketing. So it will be like you have a small group, which and it's from that business that you get your money and do your stuff. So creating employment for some other people.
My final thoughts are, man must live. As long as it pays the bills and put food on the table, you just have to go with it. And don't be afraid to go back to school to self-develop your skills. Don't be afraid to learn new skills, and always be on the lookout to create meaningful connection. Yeah.
How about you, Rami? Final thoughts?
A lot of them, but then I'll try and be concise.
Yes.
So I think the first thing is clearly, please do not lose hope. There is a lot that our youth can do, and so I want to really encourage our youth, saying please do not lose hope at any given point in time. Secondly, be prepared to get your hands dirty. A white collar job is not that is waiting for you more often than not. You need to be willing to get your hands dirty. Go with a very open-minded perception of the jobs that you're getting into.
Yes.
Number 3 is that keep trying things. You will find your mojo one day. Don't feel frustrated that you have not found something to do now that you will really like, but it takes time. The journey is as important as much as what you end up achieving. Go through the journey. It has blocks and it has phrases, but go through it and you will find your mojo one day. Yeah.
And Naftal, if you were to do it all over again, would you still make the same choices you've made?
As this goes by, I'm embracing this.
You're embracing it more and more.
Yeah.
So you're comfortable with the choices you've made so far?
Yeah, I don't regret. Though I only have one nightmare. Maybe one day, if things goes out. So that's my feeling to make it. So I have to make sure make it.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't think there is any going back anytime soon. Yeah.